What's up guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video we're going to be talking about how to win games that feel like they're lost, or if you have teammates that are tilted. I have a game here where we actually have the chat and you can actually see that my team was getting tilted. I muted them. I don't know if they're going to say a lot of bad stuff, but I'm going to give you guys a play-by-play as to how I carried this game and how I won. Now guys, please make sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already. As you guys can see here, there's a good chunk of you guys that aren't actually subscribed, and it helps me out a lot and it makes me feel like I'm worth something the higher the number goes. So please, that being said, let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you guys a play-by-play as to what I was doing this game and what I was thinking. So here we actually had an early extended, I was shadowing with my jungler, so we had walked from this area here. Immediately, when you start from red side, you should immediately queue out if you're Fiora or anyone with the gap closer, and immediately run straight through here. You can either sit in this bush to destroy a ward, but if you have a jungler with you, you guys can sneak through and you guys can get right here. So what we ended up doing was we got vision and we ended up taking the blue buff. So the reason that you would do this, or the reason you would take the enemy's jungle camps, is that they are going to come over here and they're going to be wasting time and resources. This gives our jungler a very good lead, and it also gives our jungler the capability of being able to vertical. A vertical being staying on one side of the map, so since the Diana stole the enemy top side, they can go do their top side camp, and then they can dominate that half of the game. So that's one way to snowball someone. So here, obviously, you got to emote when first blood is going down. My ADC sadly died. Now, in this matchup as Ryze, I don't actually have a matchup video for this champion. But if you guys use my modifier guide, you guys can see that how I ranked this champion, and he is quite difficult. You essentially want to let him push, so that way when you get level 3 you can go all in on him. For the first 2 levels it's kind of iffy because he does have a good amount of sustain, or he does have a good amount of range over you and can kite you out, especially if he has phase rush. This Ryze had Conquer, so it wasn't too bad, but he's just going to be doing a lot of damage into the later ends of the game. Personally, I think phase rush is much better on Ryze, and if you're against phase rush it's a little bit harder, especially in those first 3 levels, but you kind of want to let the wave come to you. So that's essentially what I'm doing here, is I'm passively getting gold whenever I can, dodging his abilities as best as I can, while also just letting the wave crash to my turret where I'm a little bit safer. Now guys, if you're interested into what runes I'm taking, the runes you can see on my modifier guide, I have the ones that are listed. I've usually taken the resolve tree. So feel free to stop over there if you are curious as to what runes I've been taking and what builds I've been taking as well. So now here we're basically just dodging as best as we can while also farming. In order to farm the melee minions, which you can see there, it takes about 2 turret hits, and then for the caster minions it's about 1 turret hit, and then you can attack it. That is before I played a little risky here. Before I continue, I'm about to say I love to be risky. You already know. I should back and I should TP. That's what I should do. Will I do that? No, because you already know. But yeah, so you want 2 turret shots for the melee, 1 turret shot for the caster minions. That's the best way to farm under turret. If you don't have a longsword or you don't have any AD item, it'll be 2 auto attacks on the caster minions to kill it. But once you have any sort of AD, it's 1 auto attack. So I finally reset here because I learned my lesson. And then I do believe I end up TPing back. The reason I want to TP back is because the wave is pushing towards him. So I would be losing more minions in the process. Luckily, the Ryze, he could have just backed and just walked to lane, but luckily the Ryze also used his teleport, so it wasn't that punishing for me. I'm assuming that the Ryze just wanted to keep pressing me, maybe that the jungler was topside, or he was just trying to keep me shoved in, and he didn't want me to slow push it and crash it to him, because then I would get a reset. So he could just be trying to keep the momentum that he has more CS than I do, because it is 27-19 at this current point. On that back, I did get a longsword and a refillable potions. The reason for the refillable potion is because he has 2 health potions. I really wasn't able to get any sort of damage on him, and he's able to just poke me consistently in this lane until I can get that gap. Now, the reason I'm not really engaging on him is because I'm not getting a vital that's like that very easy for me, and I'm also not too sure about when to repost against him. You have to get a feel for certain champions like this, because this W, there's no way for you to tell. It's only by like the tempo of the fight and the actual player. So I'm trying to get a hang for it. So there I went in when I had refillable potions because I can get punished a little bit. And now I'm just farming under turret again. Going against ranged champions, it's a very good idea to get used to farming under turret. Because they are going to have prio early. Prio meaning they're going to have like the first move. They're going to be able to shove you under your turret. So currently here, I'm in a sticky situation. I have Diana topside. Diana is basically full HP. I'm going to see if she can come over here and she can help me. I just put my Q on cooldown, which is unlucky, but it's just the way it is. Ryze is 6, I'm 6. Diana was on a ward, so she's not going to be able to gank. She's going to back out. I ping that he's missing. So in this scenario here, the Diana is going for a vertical. You can see she's going to invade again. It's honestly pretty risky for the fact that I don't have priority over this lane. So therefore, Ryze can collapse on her faster than I can. And if Ryze does collapse, there's not really much I could do. I'm just basically going to stay in this lane, and I'm going to farm as much as I can, because that's the only option that's going to actually benefit here off of her misplay. So in a scenario like that, if your jungler is going deep or invading and you don't have priority, if they die and get caught, that's on them. Here, you already know we playing risky. So the reason that I back there is just for the sake of that I know that it's Ryze and he's going to fast push very quickly. Ryze players don't understand the concept of slow pushing or letting waves bounce back. They just fucking spam their spells. So they might do that to you too. Luckily, he spammed the spells and then he crashed under the turret. On that back, I got a pickaxe. So pickaxes have a lot of AD, and that's what you kind of want to do with Fiora's current builds, is you want to get items that have high AD. So personally, I've been going with Gore Drinker because Gore Drinker, the less HP you have, the more AD you actually get, which scales off of Fiora's passive. So your vitals are going to be doing more damage, you're going to be healing more, and it's just overall the better items for Fiora. So in this case, I went with Pickaxe, as I am going to be rushing Gore. Now, because he crashed the wave to my turret, the wave is going to be bouncing back to him, so I'm going to slow push it and then potentially fast push the next wave. It depends on where my jungler is and the objectives. We do have a Rift Herald, so I could slow push this one, slow push the next one, or I can look to engage on Ryze because I have a favorable wave. So it looks like I'm going to engage on the Ryze. You always want to queue to the vital away from you. You want to walk to the vital facing the closest wall. So as you guys saw there, he was towards the middle of the wave, but he was slightly on the right side. So instead of ulting and queuing immediately, I walked to the side that had the wall and then queued farther away because that's where he's going to be running. Now, I want to say in this team fight here, or in this this gank, keep an eye on the vitals that I'm playing with. I'm bouncing between both champions and hitting all of their vitals. Here, I was patiently waiting for the next vital to appear because I wasn't sure if my E crit was going to be able to kill. It just nearly did, and then he ended up dodging that vital. But in the end, it worked out. And I want to say that Fiora, as most of you know, is fucking busted as shit. But she's fucking strong and, like, ganks, man. If you're getting ganked, use your repost properly. Play off of vitals. The most common mistake that people make is if there are two champions, that means there are two vitals. You can hit one vital on one champion, hit the other on the next champion. By the time that you hit this vital's already up. So you're doing true damage and healing off of two champions simultaneously, not even having to wait for the next vital. So you're going to be able to melt both of them. And that's not even counting on the fact that you have repost, which negates damage and CC. So use that wisely. And in that scenario there, for the most part, except for that last auto attack, I hit basically every vital and I was bouncing back and forth. Luckily, Ryze was also low HP because I had ulted him. And we both used our flash. Now, that's something to keep in mind here, is I need to remember this, and you guys should do this as well, is whenever cooldowns are used, especially flash on mages or people who aren't that mobile, you need to take that into account. Right now, Ryze is respecting me very, very well for the fact that, one, I have red, and two, he doesn't have flash. So you see how far back he's standing now? In this scenario, we could look to actually dive we could dive the Ryze if I fast push this, considering Diana is topside, but I don't think she does. Here I basically just use my red. Again, he doesn't have flash, he doesn't have anywhere to go, so I just use my repost to finish the job. So here I basically still have full HP, I have full mana. I'm going to just shove this next wave. And I can either rotate to the Diana and help, or I could just get a turret plating and back. Okay, so Ryze TP's here, so I just back immediately. And then the next wave, let's see, the next wave should be a cannon wave. The next wave is a cannon wave. So if he fast pushes that, which again, we know... I forgot about this. He's such a bitch, man. This would have been a good time to back. This would have been a good time to back. It's harder for champions to push cannon waves. It's a Ryze, so he could push it fairly easily. But even when he does and it gets to turret range, the cannon is going to tank multiple turret shots, meaning the rest of the minions around it are going to be staying alive, meaning you get more CS. That's usually why you want to back on cannon waves. Not when the cannon wave meets in your lane, but when the cannon wave is coming. That's what she said. All right, Ryze is doing Ryze things. Again, just using my gap closer. I'm not timing my repost correctly just because it's hard for me to, again, see when that W is happening. It's really hard to see it. And I have my ultimate up. I know I don't need my repost to kill him. So technically I could Q in here and ult. Okay. So I get Galio ganked. And I believe I actually was trying to play this out because my repost was up in 1 second. But we had 4 people top lane. So you got, you get the top lane experience every now and then. You might be thinking to yourself, Alex, aren't you tilted out of your mind? No. They spent 4 people to kill me topside. I really didn't lose too much. I lost some CS there, but as you can see, Diana ends up getting CS. Our bot lane can get something done. Supposedly. Or our mid lane can get something done. So our mid lane was farming, our bot lane was farming. And it looks like the Galio used TP to go bot lane, and they get the kill on the Aphelios. So it wasn't the best, but in a scenario like that, it's not horrible. Because ideally, your team can get more out of it. Now here, I just gave the thumbs up to Diana because she didn't wait for me to get some of the turret plating. The Diana wasn't really playing like a team player, and she was the one who was also getting tilted. So now I have Gore Drinker. I'm fine with taking all of this. It happens. The fact that he's even fighting me is fine for me. I want him to fight me, so if I can lose some HP for Gore Drinker, I know that I'm going to be able to kill him. Again, whenever there's a Vital facing me, I'm queuing in on it just so I can get the movement speed. Using the movement speed from the ultimate. All right, so now I backed here. We have Gore Drinker, we have our Steel Cap Boots, and I believe at this time, as I'm looking to lane, I TP to the bot side. Whenever you're bouncing a wave back or you crash a wave into the turret, you should always look to go TP mid or bot because you had set a timer for yourself. Now this Kayn is getting very big, and he also has a Yuumi, so I have to keep that in mind. I used my repost on his knockup so that way I could stun him. I saved my E for the Yuumi afterwards so that way I could slow her, and then we just cleaned up everything else. Now, right here, you can see that I'm pinging to defend the outer turret. I'm pinging Diana to go catch the top wave because Ryze didn't teleport as well. So now Ryze is going to be pushing that wave. I'm not going to be able to get there in time. So the person who is backing, so it could have been Diana, it could have been Viego, our mid laner. Whoever is available and coming back, you can send to the top wave so you don't lose any experience or gold on your team. So I took the bottom turret because I was available to, and again, I didn't need to catch that top wave. So here, we buy Sheen, so I'm going to be getting Essence Reaver second. The reason I go Essence Reaver is because it solves a lot of Fiora's mana issues, and it allows you to split push like crazy. Even before getting Hull Breaker, you just murder turrets. And now I also have a blue trinket, so it's important to note that you have the blue trinket, especially as a split pusher. If you guys don't use blue trinkets, I highly advise you do, as it helps a ton, and it is a huge, huge deal when you get a blue trinket. So right now we're just pushing this wave, and I'm going to be looking to take this turret. I see nobody's on the map, so I'm kind of cautious. At this point in time, I see that they are here. I believe I misplayed a little bit, but we'll see. I'm playing off vitals again. Notice that I walk to the next vital and then Q. You guys should get in the habit of doing that as well. I reposted the damage from his ultimate. Guys, this is also why you take Gore Drinker. And I could have killed the Kayn if I had Q to the next vital, but I don't know if I would have lived. That's the only reason why I was kind of upset about that play. But they end up going very, very deep for me. You could see that they don't want me to live here. And because I ended up saying, I believe the Thresh died, but he probably could have died as well. I could have potentially kept on queuing past the Ryze teleport before the Ryze had teleported, but in the end, everything worked out. It's definitely better that the Thresh dies over me because I believe I do have a bounty. I do have a bounty. All right, so here I buy Cloak. Ideally, you don't want Cloak because it's crit, and Fiora doesn't necessarily use crit, but I wanted to finish Essence Reaver as fast as possible, and I do have all 3 components. So that's just what you have to do when building the item. So here I was running mid just for the fact that my team kept getting picked off. So I was running near the Aphelios in case a play was happening, but now I'm just going back topside just to catch the wave. And also at this point in time, I'm pinging you guys can see it says Fiora signals to be careful. I was pinging my bot lane, which is the Viego, who is very, very tilted, to basically just back up. His biggest thing was he's overextending constantly. So he's 4-4, and you're going to notice a common theme. Whenever he gets a kill, he dies. That's what happens when you get tilted. You just have to make sure that you keep the clear mindset. I don't believe I have the chat enabled, but in the beginning of the game, and again, I muted him. I don't know what more he was saying, but he was saying FF at like minute 5. He was like flaming our jungler because their jungler is doing so much more than ours. That's just a part of the game. Some people get outclassed. Some people do better than others. That's just the way it is. You just have to make sure you do the best and keep a clear head so that way you can guide the rest of your team. Now here I was a little bit late to this fight. I should have rotated much, much sooner. I didn't think my team was going to be going for it, but they were kind of going in 1 by 1. So instead of doing anything else, I'm just going to stay by the turret. I'm just going to protect this turret. Let them get the objective. We already died. That's essentially what I was thinking. Now here, since they went very deep and they used a lot of their abilities, I was thinking we could kill this Galio very quickly. I reposted properly. What I should have done was I should have immediately queued to that lantern and then just got out. But I was thinking I could have played off the vitals better. So that was just me playing a little bit too aggressive because I noticed that people were kind of losing their senses. As soon as the Viego started getting tilted and everyone else was getting tilted, I was like, okay, I need to do a play now so that way we can get something done. And that's not the right way to be thinking. That's how you lose even further, is because you try and rush plays rather than thinking it out clearly, playing it collectively and calculated. So right now, if you want to see my current team, I'm 6-2. We have 3-3, 4-4, 2-5, and 1-3. So our mid is about even, and our bot lane isn't doing too hot. But again, our mid laner was kind of tilted. So we respawn. Finished Essence Reaver, and now I have Executioners. The reason I have Executioners is 1, because of Kayn healing, but 2, it was because of the Yuumi healing. Now here I teleported because I thought the Thresh would be able to hook the Ezreal who was backing in that bush, but he had missed it. Now you guys might be thinking to yourself, Alex, how do I win when my teammates go in 1 by 1 and they don't know how to play properly? I'm in like bronze, silver, or gold, and they just do that constantly while I'm split pushing and I can't win. Don't worry, when you climb up to like diamond, it still happens too. This Diana went in by 1 by 1. We know that they're bot side, so we shouldn't be surprised when the Yuumi Kayn that can go through walls starts to go in. You know? So yeah. Oh, well, Viego's here now, so that's good, right? Okay. Yeah. So now everyone's dead by the time that the actual Fed person comes, so I believe at this point in time I'm typing. Yeah, again, you can't see. I typed, guys, why are we going in 1 by 1? So, it doesn't hurt sometimes to type to your team to let them know a game plan. I muted them, so I don't know what they were saying, but again, I muted them for my own sanity. But I was typing like, hey, we have to get our shit together. Don't go in 1 by 1, play around this, you know, whatever objective we were doing. That was a good repost, but there was no way he was getting away from me just for the fact that I dropped my ultimate on him and I had the movement speed. Again, why I think phase rush is better on Ryze. But I'm just too fed right now. There's nothing you can really do. So here, again, nobody is on the map. I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious of the fact that I know that they can collapse on me. I see Ezreal's topside, so that's very reassuring. But I do know that Baron is up and they might try and make a play for it. So I'm just kind of staying standoffish here. You can see I'm playing in the shadows until I know where they are. This is how you properly split push. You shouldn't overextend. Now I see that they're mid topside. So now I can look to make a play on the Galio. My team should technically win this. But again, the Kayn is very, very fed. It's kind of a gamble at this point. The Kayn ends up winning. The Diana doesn't collapse. The Diana continues split pushing. Aphelios dips. So you just have to respect it. And this is the point of split pushing, or the part where your team should understand, like, okay, do we win this with numbers? The Galio is matching me, so it's not horrible. At this point in time, I believe the Galio is still at base. And my team decides to take the fight, even though we're losing. Yeah, so the Galio stays here to match. My team shouldn't have taken that fight, but again, they're tilted, so they end up doing it. It is 7. I'm 7-3. We have 4-5 Diana, 4-5 Viego, a 2-7 Aphelios, and a 1-5 Thresh. So now, because they're taking Baron, we look to trade the Dragon, which is coming up. I look to see if there's any vision. And then the Ryze comes up with the Galio. I look to repost the what's it called? Knock up from the Galio ult. But I missed it, and then I went to flash for the last vital and Q it, but he had moved up, so unlucky. But it ends up working out. We got the double kill from them trying to collapse. Again, the Viego tries to greed, and he goes for Raptors. And he ends up dying to the Kayn, I believe, as well. So that 6-5 is a 6-6. There you go. The theme still continues. He overextends. And again, at this point in time, he's typing out of his fucking mind saying, oh, fuck this game, FF, whatever. And I just said, stop overextending, please. That's it. He was the one person that I actually unmuted and muted a couple times just because I wanted to know what he was like, what his thought process was. And yeah, that's what he was going with. So here I just pushed one wave and then I looked to back because they're shoving in the mid lane. They can take the turret, that's fine. I'm backing them, I'm pinging them to back up. Let them take it, it's fine. Let them take the turret, it's whatever. We can't force a fight here, we don't win it. Their Kayn is 14-2. I'm trying to pick up scraps wherever I can. So we see that the Galio is actually going to be coming up here. And I know that he's in this bush. He doesn't have time to back, so I just chase him down. He doesn't have TP. He had used it before. Just make sure that he doesn't escape. And in the meantime, our Viego chooses a fight on the bot side, very outnumbered. Now here, this is kind of unlucky, but I was looking to just back here, which is ideally what I would have done, but I was in a horrible spot where the lane actually matched and met me here. And I knew a fight was about to start. It would have been better if I could have backed because then I could finish my item. But in this scenario, I didn't have time to back. The fight had already started, so I just had the TP right into the middle of the fight. Again, I want to focus down the Kayn. I'm using my ult on the Kayn because that does percent HP. And again, we're building straight AD, so it makes us do a ton of damage. So although he's building tanky, you saw how I kind of one-shot him there. The Ezreal was very low, so instead of immediately going to the Kayn, I wanted to make sure I got him out of the game. Quickly just queued him just to pop him with the Sheen proc and then finished off the Kayn. So now here I finished Hullbreaker. Ideally, you could finish Hullbreaker third, or you can finish it fourth when you want to be split pushing. But for the fact that they're sending 4 people top and, you know, wherever I am, they're like sending everyone and using all their ults on me, I figured Hullbreaker would be really good here for me to split push. Sadly, though, I don't have TP anymore, so when I am split pushing, I have to be very cautious as to when I do have teleport and when I don't. So at this point in time, I believe I typed to my team, hey, I don't have TP, I'm going to be splitting, care. That's all you got to say. That's it. If they don't listen, which don't be surprised if they don't, but that's the best that you can do. Let them know what the game plan is, because sometimes people get lost and they lose the game plan in their head and they just don't care. They just want the game to be over. They say FF. But if one person is showing them a path, they might not say it or they might flame you, but they might go in that general direction. So here again, we don't have much vision. I shoved the wave. I pushed it. I don't know where they are. And I know a fight is probably going to be brewing soon. I don't have my teleport still. As you can see, I pinged it there for 182 seconds. So I back and I anticipate a fight happening just because it's been too calm. So I go to the mid lane just so I can hover with my team. Remember, I have Hullbreaker. This isn't beneficial for me, but I just know that something's going to be happening. Now here the Diana gets caught out, which is very unlucky. And then the Thresh gets caught out. And there's nothing really I can do. There's only so many times that I can tell people not to get caught out and to play with vision. Some people, whether they're tilted or not, just don't play that well and they just make those mistakes. But this game is all about mistakes. So here I kind of greeted because I thought I can go in and I wouldn't take as much damage. But unfortunately enough, they ended up getting me. Now at this point in the game, I was like, it's over. I even typed, look, top diff. Wait, why does it show mine, but it doesn't show anybody else? Is it just for all chat? But they could have ended the game here. I think it was the fact that the Viego and the Thresh came up, that they were a little too hesitant and they didn't have a wave here. So we are very, very lucky that we bought a little bit more time. All right, so at this point in time, our items didn't really change. We're kind of just struggling at this point. We need to get as much farm as possible from the super minions. So I'm going into the side lane. I'm going to be split pushing. Again, I have Hullbreaker, so this is very beneficial for me. My TP is going to be up shortly, and Baron will be up as well. So I want to play across from the objective. That's why I'm going into the bot lane, because Baron is going to be coming up. Now my TP is just about ready. Now I noticed that they're going into our jungle. As you can see, the Kayn is there. So I immediately TP. Whenever I see Kayn, who is the fed one, I immediately TP. I ult him. You can see how much my damage does with ults. He got out, but then he ended up going back in with my ult vital still on him. You see I just pop him because of that AD. Again, using my Sheen proc, using my Q. It looks like I'm stealing the kills, but my Q and my Sheen proc does a ton of damage. So now I just go to back. We capitalized on them. They're going to be fine getting Baron. We just aced them, essentially. The Galio is up, but he's not a big issue. We have an Aphelios, and we have a Viego, so we should be fine. I'm okay, again, being able to sit here and split push, so it's fine for me to back. Although I don't have TP to match them if a fight happens, that's fine. There shouldn't be a fight that happens. Again, they all died. So I back. I get all this solo experience in gold. This is going to keep me ahead. And Hullbreaker is also really good against super minions because your cannon gets empowered as well. So whenever I have a cannon, it allows me to fight back against super minions, which a lot of people didn't really think about, which, again, this fucking item's kind of disgusting into the later ends of the game. So I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to split push, get as much gold in me as possible. I want to finish my last item, which I believe I end up going Blade of the Ruined King. Blade of the Ruined King actually is not a bad item, and I've been playing with it for a while. A lot of people thought when Hullbreaker came out, when you're split pushing, they're like, oh my god, you know, this is the time that we go Trinity Force again. Not really. If you're going to be going any split pushing item, I believe Blade of the Ruined King is the way to go. One, because of the AD that you get from it, but two, the damage that you get from the passive is kind of disgusting, and you end up one-shotting a lot of people while also getting a little bit more sustained. So I would end up trying it into the later ends. You can either get it your third item, or you can get Hullbreaker as your third item. You can interchangeably use those, or if you want, you can get something a little bit tankier. Completely up to you. Again, if you guys are interested in builds, you guys can go to my Mobile guide, which is linked down below, and you guys can see what current builds I'm using as the meta is changing, as well as runes. So at this point in time, you can see that I was typing right there. I was typing to my team, just sit back, soak up the super minions, get as much gold as possible. Because one, there's no objective. There's no objective on the map. Let's just sit here, get as much gold, because we are getting a ton of gold from these super minions. And if they overextend, we should be able to win since we have Baron. But two, we want to play for the next dragon. So at this point in time, you guys can see that I'm 11-4. Our Diana is 5-7. The Viego is now 9-8. He broke the curse. Good for him. He's not 9-9. And our bot lane is starting to catch back up a little bit too. Now, a lot of people could be saying like, oh, but you know, your Ryze just inted or something. You guys can see how this game is developed, and it's not really the Ryze. The Ryze helped me get a decent lead in lane, but that didn't really translate to the rest of the game. The rest of the game, I've been fighting an uphill battle versus this Kayn. I've just been typing to my team how they should be playing. I'm not being snippy when I do it. I'm being polite when I do it. And I'm also playing off of my general knowledge. So again, Kayn. We see Kayn ult. I wait. He took a little bit too long, so I used my ult on the Galio just to get the heal down for my team, and then right afterwards, we just collapse on him, we kill him. Here, I'm fine using my flash, I'm fine using my repost as a slow, just because this game is over at this point. This game is essentially over. I'm going to use all my resources. We still have a little Baron left in us, so we're just going to completely shove down mid. And I believe we end the game after this. I believe we just shove it, and there's nothing more that we can do. Guys, so basically to wrap this video up, what I want to say is if you guys are in a situation like this, don't be afraid to actually type to your teammates. Be polite. Don't be toxic. Keep a clear mental, because this game was lost on so many levels, especially if you could have saw the way my teammates were typing. And yeah, I mean, everybody gets tilted. I'm not flaming my team for getting tilted. That's a part of the process. But as long as you guys can keep a clear mental and you guys know how the game should be working and work towards that win condition, you guys are going to do great. That being said, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.